Hey Robert, how are you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
Yeah, good, fine, thank you so much.
In einer Zeit, in der die Dinge immer unsicherer wurden, konnte man sich immer auf eins verlassen. Die Heroics. Das Team der Superhelden unseres Planeten. Und mein Dad war einer von ihnen. Dad, was ist hier los? Ist das Miracle Guy?
Das ist nur eine Trainingseinheit oder sowas in der Art.
Da kommt irgendwas.
Wenn ich dich nicht besser kennen würde, würde ich sagen, du klingst besorgt.
Das war der Tag, an dem unsere Helden fielen.
My first question would be, when did the idea for the film came to your mind, and was it some sort of Avengers for kids with kids for you?
I've been loving the superhero genre that's just taken over since I did movies like Spy Kids. My early superheroes were, Shark Boy and Lava Girl back in 2005, but I saw more and more, I loved making those movies for families, but more and more I saw that if parents couldn't take the kids back to the theater as many times as they'd want because they'd have to drive them to a theater. So those movies did their best on video, on, television. And so when Netflix actually came to me and asked me if I would make a movie like those films that I made in the early days for their service, and I thought it was a great idea because then kids could just, like my daughter does, tap and watch as many times as they want for a premiere movie. And I realized that was the best place to get to the audience. So the kids don't have to rely on the parents to drive them to the theater. They can go and watch as many times as they want. And I always try to make these movies for families and kids, especially give them very nurturing, healthy, messages, since they're going to watch it many times because of the empowerment. And when they asked me, hey, what could you make us a movie like Spy Kids, that kind of genre with live action children, really high energy. And it came to me as they were asking me. I thought, superheroes genre is huge. They're making every kind of superhero thing, but no one's done it superheroes with kids, which I couldn't believe. So I immediately focused on that and thinking of making a little kid, like Avengers team of kids that could show how they work with their parents and how, parents have to mentor kids to be the next generation. There's just so many themes that are relevant for today that could be embedded in this new superhero mythology for families.
Yeah, and what's so interesting for me that you based it, of course, on in the same universe as Shark Boy and Lava Girl. Was that something that came just right up in your mind when you thought about making another superhero film?
I think I might have had an idea of it, but I didn't include them in the original script because it was about creating a bigger team of adults that felt like a real Avengers team. And then later, once we got the movie going, I asked them if we could borrow those characters to put them in, because I thought it would give it a legitimate feel of a real superhero team, because I was making up so many characters you'd never heard of. To have someone on the adult team that you had heard of, even if you've never seen those movies in pop culture, people have heard of Shark Boy and Lava Girl. People do their hair pink now because of that character. It was culturally something that people heard of. So I thought it would be really validating for the superhero team to have two members, at least on the parents' side, that you had heard of. It would make it feel like, oh, this is a real superhero team, and help give us a jump start on people knowing who these characters are in the world. The other reason I wanted to include them, though, was because kids love Shark Boy and Lava Girl. They love the powers those kids had. So I thought if I put them in this film, they could have a child who would have their combination of all those powers, because those powers were awesome. That's why I put them in that original film, to have shark strength, to be able to manipulate liquids and lava, and to have one little girl be able to have all of those powers. I thought that would give us one little superhero kid that kids would already be dreaming about before they even saw the movie.
Yeah, you were talking about it. There are some really awesome superpowers on display. Is there one power that you would love to have for yourself when you produce?
It was the most fun thing this is a project I could work on with my own children, because they grew up making the Spy Kid movies. And now I said, we have to make the films for the new generation, the childhood you had, let's give that to other families. So let's sit around and come up with all of our dream superhero powers. So that was the most fun. I think originally we came up with 16, me and my kids. And I just had to shave it down to 11 because 16 kids would have been too many. But there's a bunch of powers that I would love to have. The power to rewind. I love that. I draw a lot, as my daughter does. My daughter draws all the time on an iPad. That's where the character of Oho came from. I thought, wow, it'd be interesting if we could draw the future. Like we make a drawing and it comes true, because a lot of times that happens. You know, as an artist, you draw something and by drawing it, it actually manifests and actually does come true in a way. So I wanted people to see that as a superpower, because it's actually something that can happen. That's visualizing something ahead of time makes it come true. And we made that a superpower. So those are two of my favorites, but I'm sure there's more. Wildcard is probably the best. You give him everything. And then Facemaker, my kids were always making faces as kids. So I thought, validate that and make that a superpower so that they can do that for the rest of their lives.
I mean, the film kind of feels like a start of a journey, and now the new generation is taking on. Would you love to actually work on that sort of kids universe more with more films and maybe expand it?
I would love to make more. It's like the Spy Kid movies, you know, and Spy Kids is the same thing. They didn't really become spies till the very last scene in the movie. So even if we didn't make any sequels, you could imagine more movies. And so this one ends with them on the cliff, you know, becoming superheroes. So it makes you want to see more. You can imagine more as an audience. It's what I call story value. It has a story value that you can just imagine more movies, but I would love to make them, because you're just starting now. And now you've got these great characters and you can go so far with them. And that world is really fun. And I get to work with my children. I mean, it's like you're checking all the boxes by making a movie like this. This is my favorite type of film to make. Out of all the different genres that I make, these are my favorites, because I grew up in a family of 10. So I'm a very family-oriented person. I have 5 kids of my own. So children and the imagination that they bring has always been a big inspiration to me.
Bringing out the films on a streaming platform, to have the opportunity to reach a lot of audiences, something that you are super positive about. And maybe do you have any fear that maybe cinema as it is right now, because of the pandemic and because of Warner's decision, for example, the last week, is something that maybe young filmmakers won't really experience, how it is like seeing their films on the big screen?
I hope that we can go back to seeing movies on the big screen. My kids do consume a lot of things at home, but there are movies that we just have to see on the big screen. We love that experience. It was a regular part of our diet. We were going to the movies all the time. There were so many great films. The theater experience is special. And we have a big screen TV at home, and it does not replicate the feeling of being in a big, it's just something about it. It's complementary. And right now that it's gone, it's just, I don't think we'll forget. We're just really eager to go back. There's some theaters in Texas where I'm from that still operated very safely. So I did go over the summer into those to see like Tenet and stuff. And it was just, you just miss that so much. So hopefully that'll come back. But for children's films, like I was saying, I do believe that even if theaters were back and roaring, for my family films, I would want to put them through a service like Netflix, because kids watch these movies over and over and over. And the parents would just spend most of their money on gas driving them back and forth. They just don't have the time to drive them back and forth to the theater. What's great about, to really satisfy them, Netflix, is they can just sit there and go as many times as they want. So I do like that about this particular genre of films. I think really belongs in a service like Netflix.
Thank you so much, Robert. And I wish you good luck, and I hope you can expand that universe. Even
yes, that would be wonderful.
Yeah.
I have lots of ideas, but we'll see.
Allein sind wir was Besonderes. Zusammen, halt mal Bein fest, sind wir unschlagbar. Wenn ihr uns braucht, sind wir da. Gut gemacht, Fast Forward. Exzellente Arbeit, Rewind. Exzellente Arbeit, Rewind. Exzellente Arbeit, Rewind.
Ich höre es zu gerne.